Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the Mental Wellness channel with Waihiga. If you're new here, I hope that you stick around and take a listen to what I have to share. Today is going to be part 2 of my story from model to drunk to sobriety. I recently celebrated 6 years in recovery, sober, and I just want to take the opportunity here on my platform to tell you about my story, how it was, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. How I got to 6 years sober. Before I get into that, kindly like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you would like to support this channel, kindly donate to the PayPal link. You will find it in the description box. Thank you. 2017 was the year that everything changed for me. Everything changed with my relationship with alcohol. Although I did not know it yet. I did not know that the day that I was going to get sober was the day that I was going to get sober. I just knew that I was tired of the way I was living life. I could not continue to live the way I had been living. So on the 23rd of February 2017, I was taken to a halfway house in Nairobi, which is a sober living facility. By this time, you have to understand that I had been to rehabs. It did not work. I had tried suicide attempts. Clearly, it did not work. Anything I tried and I put my might into just did not work. I tried to go back to school, but I couldn't stay sober for more than a month. And so 2017 happened. By this point, I was drinking without any breaks. I mean, I wasn't even pretending to hide that I could stop. I just went with it. 23rd of February 2017, I was taken to a halfway house, a sober living facility. And there I was introduced to a 12-step program. 12-step program, an AA program, NA program, is basically the 12 steps of recovery. It's a free program, and it's basically people like yourself who are helping you stay sober one day at a time. I went to my first 12-step meeting sober in May of that year, 2017. It was the Thursday meeting, and I remember being confused. Why am I here? Why am I in this room right now? Why am I with these people? Why are we discussing alcohol? Because to me, at that point, I still did not have a problem with alcohol. Everything and everyone else was the problem. I could not come to say it, that I was an alcoholic. I could not bring myself to do it. Eventually, with enough meetings, I started calling myself an alcoholic. And when I heard the stories of other people, and I heard that they were exactly like me in how they drank, how they used, and why they drank. You know, for me, my problem is sobriety. I don't do well sober. I've never done well sober. I don't like life on life's terms. I don't know how normal people do it. I think everybody has a vice that they go to help them, but to help them cope with life, with stress, with things. But my go-to was alcohol, and I didn't know how to live life without it. It was my best friend. So I finally met a bunch of people who were exactly like me, and they taught me one day at a time that I could do this, that I could not drink. One day at a time, I don't need to drink. One day at a time, I need to watch out for when I'm hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. One day at a time, I need to watch out for triggers. One day at a time, I need to take it easy on myself. One day at a time, instead of piling up all those emotions, negative and good, I need to let them out. I got into a 12-step program and it saved my life. That is how I got sober. That is the only thing that has worked for me for this long, one day at a time. Because of this program, the 12-step program, I have been able to go back to school. In 2018, I was able to go back to that same university that I had dropped out from in 2014. And I completed my degree in journalism in 2020. I've done a lot of things sober. I've been able to experience life completely differently sober. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. There is no other way that I would have it. I've had jobs sober. I've lost jobs sober. I've been in relationships sober, and they have come to an end, and I've still remained sober. It's not easy. But what the program taught me is that if you chop up your life to one day at a time, you can do almost anything. I found God in the AA program. And by the time I came to recovery, I was very angry at God. I was very angry because I thought that God had done all these things to me. God had made me an alcoholic. God had let people take advantage of me. God had let me experience rape. God had let me experience violence. And I didn't understand if God was so loving and so kind and omnipotent and omnipresent. Why would he let me go through this? And I felt like seeking God and looking for God was the hardest thing of my life. So when I got to recovery and I finally figured out that I have no willpower when it comes to alcohol, I have no power against the first drink, I completely understand that, and that I am going to have to give my problem to God. And he is actually going to have to take care of me. That's when God was made very real to me. And I'm not one of those people who just, says, oh, I believe in God, and it's all like mouth talk, Like, I do what I say I will do. I say what I will do, and I do what I will say. So if we're talking about gaining a conscious relationship with God, and my sobriety relies upon that relationship, that was a very hard journey. I had to get through a lot of prejudice. I had to get through a lot of traditions or inconsistencies or things that I'd made up in my mind about God. And I had to check them. And every day that I stayed sober, I gained more faith in God. Because I knew that absolutely at no point was it me who was doing this. Something else had taken over. To go through the best and the worst experiences sober, to go through a boring day sober, that is not something that I can do on my own strength. There's a difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety is the amount of days you have been sober, the dry days. I've been separated from alcohol from the 2nd of July, 2017. That's my sobriety date. But recovery is when you put your whole life in the hands of God and you trust that it will be okay. And there are a couple of steps, there are a couple of ways, there are a couple of things that you need to do in order to put your life, your will, in the care of God's hands. It takes a lot of leveling of pride. It takes a lot of honesty. It takes a lot of prayer, meditation. It takes a lot of self-work. And there are times, I don't understand where my life is going. I don't understand what was the reason? Like, what was the reason? Why did it have to be so hard? Why did it have to be so painful? So painful. Why has my journey had to be so painful, so public? And I don't know. I don't. What I do know is that I'm on the better side, on the good side, on the flip side of what my life used to be like. And that is all possible because of God. So if you're struggling with drinking, if you can no longer control if you drink, how you drink, when you want to drink, if you get cravings for alcohol, if you can no longer stop drinking by yourself, you know deep in your heart that you have a problem. I would urge you to go into a 12-step meeting, look for help. That's what I would urge you to do. Work with other alcoholics or addicts. Work with other people who are like you. Because until I came into the world of recovery, I never knew that people were like me. And there's a whole world of people who are exactly like you, who can finish your sentences, but who are living life sober. And I keep saying, if I can get sober, anybody can get sober. That is where I will leave it at this video. So thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Join the mental wellness family. Thank you so much for joining me on this 2-part journey. I just wanted to talk about recovery and how it's not easy. And basically the genesis of all of this is God, Omega and Alpha and Omega. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.